Hey YouTube. A few weeks ago, I was thinking about getting a new boat. I was going to trade my boat. I had a 2018 Ranger 198 RT, or RT 198P, sorry. It's a aluminum bass boat. I love that boat. Had it new since I got it new, but it didn't quite fit the type of fishing that I was really wanting to do, what I grew up doing. It was great for bass fishing, even in shallow water, but I grew up running jugs and yo-yos and trot lines, and all the water that I tend to fish was shallow, like real shallow water, and couldn't duck hunt out of that boat, or it was very limited to what it could do. So there were a lot of pros with it, but there are a lot of cons, and I wanted to get a surface drive shallow water boat, shallow water motor, where I could run all the shallow waters. I live on the bayou up here in Louisiana, North Louisiana. So I'm on the water, and I could not launch my Ranger in my backyard. I can launch my small boats. I fish out of a kayak a lot back there, and I wanted something that I could actually park back there and leave and do all the type of fishing on the bayou. The Ranger, you couldn't even really fish back there. It gets pretty shallow in the summertime, a lot of stumps, a lot of cypress trees, a lot of cypress knees, and I wanted something I could really, spend more time on the water directly behind the house. But when I went to searching, I couldn't find a lot of information on really any of them. There were a lot of advertisement videos and stuff like that, but there wasn't much information to tell me what brand did I want, what did I need to change, what were the pros and cons. Nobody's really gone into a lot of detail. I wanted to see people fishing out of the boats. Yeah, you can find tons of videos with them duck hunting, but trying to take a duck hunting boat and make a fishing boat, all around boat out of it. I grew up in John boats, so I wound up getting one. I'm going to show you the boat that I got. I made my decision, got it built like I wanted it. Still have a few things left to do, but I want to go over what I did, what made me make this decision, kind of start a new series of life in the boat, basically. But here we go. So what I wound up getting was a 2024 Gator Tail. This is the Savage Series, so it's a 1750. Did go with the 40XD Gator Tail, and kind of run through it and show what all I decided I wanted to put on it. So we put 80-pound thrust Minn Kota Maxim with a quick detach mount on the front. I haven't got to run this trolling motor. I picked the boat up Friday. The 24-volt lithium battery that I went with was supposed to be in Friday at the dealership. It didn't make it. It's supposed to be in today. So all the fishing we did this weekend, we just ran some jugs and some yo-yos, ran the bayou a pretty good bit. So I just pulled the trolling motor off. Haven't got to see how it does, but I imagine on this boat, 80-pound is going to throw this boat around. I had a 80 on my 19-foot 8-inch bass boat, and it was plenty enough. For the front light, I went with the Southern Light LED. It seems to be one of the more common lights that everybody runs. I did go with the nav lights built in. This thing is ridiculously bright. I'll throw a night photo in right here. It lights up everything. So pricey, but worth every stinking penny of it. I'll get to the floor in a second. Some changes that I did make. So on this rail right here, you can see I did put some edge trim, because boat does not have the edge trim from the factory. Dropping guns and stuff in there, I didn't want anything getting scratched. Kids being in the boat, rubbing their elbows against it, I wanted something to kind of protect that. So I put some edge trim in it after I got it back. We'll be swapping this gas tank out for the 13 that was supposed to be done at the dealership. It got dropped. Missed it, so I'll be getting that from them this week. But that's a 6-gallon tank, I believe, and we run about 5 gallons a day through it. So I definitely want the bigger tank. I'm gonna hold on to this one too, so I have doubles, but that's what I'm gonna go with for that. Changes, let's see, back here, I went with the Garmin Vivid series, or the Vivid, what is this thing? Striker Vivid 4-inch. For the back of the boat, I didn't really care about being a fish finder. I wanted water depth, water temperature, and what the floor conditions were on bottom. So I know if I'm about to run into soft stuff, I'm on a hard bottom, I'm on sand. We don't have much rock here, but just kind of prepared me for what I'm doing. This does have somewhat of like a mapping system, but it's not like the big fish finders at all. I run Navionics app on my phone and use my phone for anything that I need as far as that kind of mapping. But this will do like breadcrumbs, drop breadcrumbs for you, and you can set waypoints and go to those waypoints. It's not going to use much. I know all the waters I run like the back of my hand, so that is strictly water temp and surface bottom, or surface conditions, surface temp, bottom, and just kind of give me a heads up on what I'm doing. Inside these boxes, I did also put the edge trim on everything here because these kind of rattle from the factory. They're not a super tight seal, so I'll put that in there. Let's see. So one thing I did here, my dealer told me that these lids have a very bad problem of getting lost. People will leave them laying right here and then take off, forget that they were laying there, because you reach in here to put your plug in. So as soon as I got the boat home, I had some of this cable here. So I just drilled a hole in this. I looped me an eye in this cable, looped it through the hole. You see where, you might be able to see, I think you can see at the bottom of that cable. I just did one of the cable ties down there and screwed it into the rib down there, and so now this thing cannot get lost. I don't know why they don't do that from the factory, because the plug already comes the same way. It's got one of those on there. Wouldn't take much to do that. Keep everybody from losing it. I did swap the 2-blade factory prop for this 3-blade prop. This is a where did I get? Backwater, I think, is where I got this prop. It's not the bigger one, it's the smaller of the 3 blades. The water that we're running right now, the bayou, is roughly probably 7 to 9 foot deep on average. It'll get a lot lower, but the 2-blade was going to be great for when everything does get lower. And duck hunting, I will run the 2-blade, but I wanted this one for better reversing. As far as lights, we went with the Southern Light LED roosters. So I'll turn those on in just a second, but we have one rooster there on the motor and on the back. Went with red on the back. My theory was on red, if you're behind a boat, red light, you automatically think you're behind it. Turns out it looks good, but nothing else is red, so it kind of, a little bit of a contrast there. Well, I put the boat buckles, changed these straps out. I just added the boat buckles today. Transducer, I mounted it over here. I did the plastic block, got all that screwed in, shouldn't be able to go anywhere. We did the sea light LEDs for here. I went those under the gunnels on this side. We did put them on the inside. They're under, if you can see that, they're under the top side. What we were going to do was run them underneath the bottom of the gun trays. We kind of didn't translate that to the guy that was rigging it. We were worried that the light was going to reflect directly out of the gun trays and back into your eyes, because these things are ridiculously bright. But actually it works out perfect. The floor is lit up by, this side of the floor is lit up by that light, and that side of the floor is lit up very well by this light over here. Works out great. We're probably going to come back and add white ones underneath the bottom side of the gun trays over there. I've got one switch open still, and that way if you need to tie something, you've got a brighter light in the bottom. You really don't need much more light. The lights are really bright and you can see what you're doing. Only had a couple of issues since I've got it. I'll jump up there in just a second and show one of them. The other issue I had is I run all of these lights the first night. After about 2 minutes, melted a fuse. So I did a big no-no. Had a 15 amp fuse in it, but it looked like a super cheap fuse. I put a 20 amp in it just to see what would happen, and I didn't know if it was, you never put a bigger fuse in something if you have an electrical problem, because if it popped one fuse, especially if it melted it, you're probably going to burn something down. Went from 15 to a 20. Checked the temperature on all the wires. Once I did that, ran everything, no problem. So it was either a bad fuse or it really does need some new wiring. I have a relay coming. I'm gonna run the big light on the front through a relay, let the switch control just the relay, open it and close it. That way that light will be run direct to the battery. It won't be through the brain of the Gator Tail system. I think that may solve my problem. The other issue we had, which was super minor, and it was a mistake on my part, is about 100 yards into the first trip, the lid, or the screw that holds this down, came out. This was almost about to fall off. So I did a bush fix. I have another one of these on the way, plus my dealer told me to come pick one up. But my bush fix for 2 minutes was, I just bent a piece of metal that I had laying on the floor and made it hold it on there. So we're good. Didn't have any issues after that. Motor's doing fine. I will say, if you ever buy one of these boats or you buy a Gator Tail motor, you need to read the maintenance paperwork that comes with it, simply because I had a friend of mine message me on Facebook the other night talking about the boat. His had 10 hours on it. He filled his crankcase up with gas. I've seen that been some head gasket issues with some of these engines. It's not super common. Just some of them are just lemons. But I'm not worried about it because my dealer will take care of me. I have a very good relationship with my dealer. Ludwig Marine, I can't give those guys enough props. I'll stop by and visit with them quite often. I trust those guys. If anything happens with this boat or this motor, they will take care of me. That's why I keep going back to them. But I checked my oil just to be sure, and it was way above the fill mark and smelled like gas. I was like, okay, we've got an issue. Oil seemed very thin. I was kind of concerned, but I got home, read the paperwork. There is a full mark on these dipsticks, but the paperwork says it will be past the full mark, and it actually tells you where it will be, and it's in the right spot. So the gas is probably just from break-in. I've got 11 more hours, and I'll have to change oil anyway. So be sure to read the paperwork that comes from Gator Tail so you don't get a little panic fit like I did. Only other thing, this was really cool. My favorite part about this boat. So the C-deck floor was never an option for me. That was going to happen 100%. The only thing was the design. Once I decided this was the boat I was gonna get, I knew what I wanted the floor to look like right off the bat. I had the idea in my head. I told my salesman what I wanted. He said, man, just find me a picture on the internet and we'll send it to them. They probably got the design already. I wanted it to look like, let's say, a drone footage, and we will get some drone footage of this boat, but as if an alligator was surfacing out of the water through the bottom of the boat. I got online, scoured the internet. I probably spent an hour and a half, and I'm usually, if it's on the internet, I will find it. Couldn't find anything along those lines. Everybody has done the gator belly design in the C-deck or Marsh deck or whatever floors they've gone with. Could not find any that were the hornback. So I sketched it out on a piece of paper. It took me probably 4 minutes to sketch it all out. Had exactly what I wanted. My dealer, he had a couple of ideas that, and I'll show you what his idea was that I think really set this thing off. We sent it to C-deck. They sent the proof back, and I was like, I wasn't sitting there with them to fine-tune the design, but they got it so close that like, nah, we don't need any kind of renditions on that. Send her. Came in, looked good on the floor, looked good in the proof, looked so much better in the boat. So I'm gonna jump up here and show you what we did. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see this. Let me get all the way in the back. But if you can see, we went with the gator belly on the outsides, the gator back down through the middle of the boat, come to the front, the alligator follows through the front. We went with the gator tail outboard on the lid for the storage box, and then you can see the nostrils and the nose runs all the way to the front of the boat. What my dealer suggested, a design that he had come up with for a different boat, was we added this black. So this, if you've ever dealt with C-deck, you know this is the soft foam, the brushed foam. This is very textured. You can see the little ridges and bumps in it for grip. This was a harder rubber. This is very soft, but we mixed the design. So I went with, these are the rear footprints of an alligator. When I originally drew this on paper, I wanted rear, front, rear, front. That didn't get translated over very well, but to be honest with you, I wouldn't change it now. This looks absolutely phenomenal. So if somebody knows of another boat that had the hornback and I was not the first, you're welcome to prove me wrong. I could not find a single one. So as far as I know, this is the very first boat to ever have this style, this design on the floor. I know the little details that we put make it a one-off. I have a feeling we're going to start seeing more of it, but could not be happier with the way everything has turned out on that. Now the lights aren't going to show up very well. I'll just do this from my phone. So these this light switch right here, there's a brain that is underneath, so you can actually operate everything. Let's see, I can't see what the camera's showing now. Hold on, give me a second. All right, so there's an app. Now I walk up here, you can see, so it's Bluetooth. You just Bluetooth your phone to it. Yeah, you're not you can't, that phone does not, I mean the GoPro does not do that any justice at all. But here's what we went with the blue LEDs for the side. I can get over here, don't mind my mess, I'm in the process of building a kayak trailer as well. But we do have the blue lights on the rear. I don't think it's going to really and truly show the colors. Haven't been able to capture it on the phone yet. There are the interiors, definitely not dark enough. We got plenty of night shots, so I'll post up some pictures or some little clips or whatever from my phone. And then for the rear, we went with the red rooster tails, as I said. These things are ridiculous. So like I said, the rear lights here are the Southern Mud, and the strip lights are the oh crap, I can't think of the name of them now. There's some series of sea light, Saber I believe is what they are. I'd have to go back and look, but let me show you this again. With these, you can see that, if I can get close, it's one continuous beam of light, and you do not see all the individual little dots with the way that these are laid out. Get them off and you can get up close. You can see just the way that these are made. It is one solid saber of light, ridiculously bright on the water. Absolutely love the boat. Have not had any issues, anything major. I expect to always have issues with things. If it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any at all. So like I told my dealer, we're gonna have bugs to work out. You always do, and everybody knows that boat stands for break out another 1,000 anyway. So it's always to be expected. So I'll try to make some more videos. We'll get some stuff out on the water, running yo-yos, running jugs, trout lines, bass fishing. Oh, the other thing, probably this week, we're most likely going to end up putting a live scope on this boat. Don't have everything ordered yet. We got to piece together what we want and go from there. If you guys want to see more or have any questions, if you're in the market for buying one of these boats or something like it, leave a question in the comment. I may not have the answer, but we can come up with something together. Thanks, guys.